Good morning, and we are so glad that you are with us this morning, and we are all here because it's Father's Day, and so we're very excited because we've decided to give Mark the morning off, and although he was working on a message yesterday, instead we have just decided to just have this time of just really sharing our hearts as a family, and so we're really excited because it's Father's Day, and we have all of our kids with us here this morning, and so for those of you guys who don't know our kids, most of you do, but for those of you guys who don't, I'm just going to get them to quickly introduce themselves. So we'll start off with you.
Hi, I'm Chanel and I'm 21 years old and I no longer live at home. Yay. And I'm currently studying at uni and I'm studying youth work.
G'day, I'm Caden. I'm 17 years old.
Yeah, that'll do. Over there.
And I love to surf and play footy. Bad Tigers fan. So.
Yes, go Tigers. Over here.
Hi, I'm Amy. I'm 18 years old and I will soon be studying nursing.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Joel and I'm 13 and I like to play some sport.
That's it. Awesome.
All sorts of
Welcome,
sport.
children.
Yeah, so good to have you guys with us. And so the purpose of today is really just, we are far from a perfect family. Are we? No, far from a perfect family. And so one thing that we do love about the Living Room Church is that we just get to be real.
That's
and
good.
there are a lot of stuff that, there are times where we are, doing great and as a family we're doing really well. And then there are other times where we get on each other's nerves and we just want to
Move on. Mhm.
Yep. And we don't do so well. But, one thing that we really want to share is that, we are just in this together and our family, just like your family, has their struggles and we have our ups and downs. And so we just want to share a little bit about ministry life, about, life in general and about a bit about honouring Dad, I guess, this morning and about, it's a man that we love. So, kids, with you guys, let's start off with you guys, pastors' kids. What are some what are some of the hard things about being a pastor's kid? Beej, you start. Joel.
The teachers always expect you to know the answers about the Bible.
That's true, isn't it?
True.
Oh,
I
man.
failed Bible class.
It's like we force our kids to read the Bible 4 hours a night, so they're going to be geniuses.
Yep.
Genius theologians.
Well,
that's
we
not
should
true.
have.
Yeah.
No, they do. We don't get to have dinner if we don't do it.
Get the cane.
Calm down. Far out.
Something, I reckon probably that our weekly nights are kind of pretty full on. It's kind of just like dinner and then half an hour later, Mum and Dad have a Zoom call 3-4 times a week. So, yeah, we don't get to spend as much time as a family, but it's okay. We make time for it eventually. So
We do.
yeah.
Caden.
Well, at church, it's always first ones in and last to leave.
Yeah, it's true.
And then, and I don't know, people are always watching, I guess. Sounds a bit freaky, but
We're always watching. True.
many times people have described pastors' kids as like living in a fishbowl. It's all transparent and
Always
always on display.
Yeah.
And we try to protect you guys as much as we can from that.
no, we're fine though. I don't
Yeah,
really care.
you're okay. You're not damaged.
As long as people don't give me like creepy looks and
No, no creepy looks.
Know what you're doing?
Yeah.
Like,
Give them a
What about
little
you,
wink
Chanel?
and a wave.
you're like,
Smile and wave, boys.
I feel like it's not so much now. Like I feel like it used to be harder when we were younger, but not so much now because we're all a bit older and we all understand. But I think maybe the only thing is like, for example, let's just say worship leading. Like if there's no one else, it'll be us. Like if there's no one else to
Yep.
set up, it'll be us. So
Yep.
probably just that. But there's not really any big.
that's why we actually had 4 kids, so we can actually
That's it. Just
employ them
slave
all
labour.
and just slave labour. Yeah. We don't have volunteers. Okay, we've got them here. But one thing that I think our church is so generous and so kind, where I don't feel that you guys have been in any way impacted in a negative way, and people are very gracious and kind to you.
Yeah.
So maybe what are some very briefly some of the benefits? You guys have obviously had some benefits, and God has come through in massive ways. Joel.
We get to stay in Dad's office.
That's also called the Holy of
Yeah,
Holies.
whenever we want. So
And also free and the Wi-Fi.
yeah,
That's good.
Amy.
And that's one thing I love about Joel. When we get to spend days at church in the office, he loves to spend the whole day at church. Yeah, and we love that as parents. Ames.
I reckon whenever there's new people at church, like our family's kind of like you guys kind of encourage us kids to go and introduce ourselves and all that, but we also then have a relationship with heaps of the families and we get to know new families like all the time.
And that's great, isn't it?
So yeah, it's really cool just having family in church. So,
Yeah, fantastic.
Hayden, what's the benefit?
being a PK,
Yep.
always getting to find out the information before everyone else does. Yeah, and
It's true.
We're like, shh.
Well, when we were coming to Torquay to plant the church.
bad stuff.
No.
Not bad.
good stuff. I mean, like,
we don't gossip about you to our kids,
like
just
the
so
new,
you
the
know.
new things that are happening in the church, we're the first ones that find out.
Yeah.
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 Because it affects you guys, and we want to keep you in the loop.
But then it's hard not to like share it
Share
with people
spoilers,
because
yeah.
it's exciting.
Inner circle of trust, remember?
I think there's lots of things. I kind of agree. They all took my answers. But probably just, having a relationship with a lot of the people on a deeper level as maybe some other people can. And I don't know. Yeah.
That's good.
And the favour of the Lord.
Yeah, in the favour of the Lord.
Favour of
And,
the Lord.
you know, learning all these things that we can pray for things and they get them given to us, like jobs and stuff like that we've all been blessed with. So probably those.
Yeah.
Sermon, we can just ask the pastor himself right there. Dad, what are you preaching about?
Yeah, true.
Or if he goes too long, what do you do then?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Hey, you gotta-
we tell Dad to not go so long. We tell Mum to stop saying
And giving too many examples.
So don't worry, we always hoping.
Yeah, it's all for their sake, yeah.
Yeah.
Positive
one
criticism.
thing Caden was wrapped by though, when we started doing these online messages, normally at church I preach from between 45 minutes to an hour quite easily. But he was quite impressed. I knocked it off in 28 minutes one week.
Yeah.
You were pretty impressed, weren't you?
Good.
Because what
That only happened once though, but still.
what happens after half hour?
What happens after half an hour?
People start to lose focus.
Oh, no. I'm trying to get better. Sorry.
Let's just share one quick story that we remember of Joel when he was, how old was he? So this is another great thing about being, in a Christian family, is that at the age of 5, what did you want to do?
I wanted to get baptized in the bath. I wanted to practice.
Oh, that was awesome. No, because we're in the lounge room and I hear Joel crying. Oh, not crying. Calling out from the bathtub. He's having a bath. He goes, "Dad, come here." So, what's wrong? Is everything okay? He goes, "Dad, I want to get baptized in the bathtub right now." So we did a baptism. That was fun.
That was fun. But in today's Father's Day, and so one thing maybe we just, can share about, maybe you want to just share a bit about your heart, is that it's not always easy to balance home work life, let alone pastoring church and other, and, for all the men out there, it's really difficult, I think, because there's a lot of pressures on dads to actually, find the balance between work and home. So what is one thing that, that we have done to try to combat this, and that would be beneficial for everybody out there?
A major focus that we had from the very beginning was to make sure that our kids knew that they were far more important than ministry ever could be, that they had complete access to our lives, that they, at the drop of a hat, we would always be there for them. Even if we had ministry responsibilities, we would make it work. And I wanted them always to believe without a shadow of doubt that mum and dad were not untouchable. Mum and dad were not to be shared. They have our heart. They have our priority. And I really do hope that you guys, still feel that no matter what ministry throws at us, we have responsibility. We have stuff that we need to deal with in church life, but you guys can come to us in any moment. And I think we've built that up over the years so that your kids can know without any question whatsoever that they are the most important.
And one thing we have done, which we all know, is what used to happen. Where do we used to go every Friday?
To the city.
To the city for
Family night.
Yeah.
And when we were younger, we always used to say, Friday night, Daddy's bed. And we always used to all sleep in the same bed.
Yep. And so, Chanel, family night, why is that important? Or what did that do to you? What did that create in your life?
Well, obviously, since we were younger, we always knew Fridays we're not seeing friends, Fridays we're not going anywhere, we're just going to the city with our family. And it was always our favourite thing to do. And I think it meant that, no matter how busy of the week we had, if there was Zoom calls or Bible study every single week, every day, and then Friday we know that they're not going to be having any meetings or going anywhere. We're all just going to go to the city and have a good night and turn off our phones and just all have a good time. So I think that was fun, and it was a good start to the weekend and a good end to the week.
Absolutely. And really respect the church as well, because we said in the early days of the church that, guys, Friday nights are out of bounds. We will not take any phone calls. We will not, if there's an emergency, there are other people that can stand in, So, but we really are thankful for the church as well to really support that and respect that. Anyone else about family night?
Where was your favourite place to go or to do on family night?
I reckon it was either wherever the car leads. That was the thing. So basically we would all get in the car and then be like, where are we going? Daddy goes, I don't know, wherever the car leads. And he'll act like he doesn't know. And
we always ended up at KFC.
Yeah, probably.
A lot.
KFC.
But as kids,
Did somebody say KFC?
as kids in my mind, I'm just like, oh, Dad doesn't even know where we're going. The car is actually leading it. But now I know that he was actually driving, so he definitely knows. But yeah, I don't know. It's just little surprises like that. Us kids not knowing where we're going, or even staying overnight in a hotel
Keeping it
was a
fun.
surprise. Yeah, keeping it fun.
How about you, Joel? What did you like to do at at family night or in the city?
I like to run up that. What's the
black
the slide.
sculpture.
Yeah, we used to do that every time.
What's that on City Road? Yeah, in the
Next to the Arts Centre
Arts
there.
Centre. Yeah,
Yeah, see how high you could get.
yeah. We used to play. Caden, family night. What's your memories, or what did you enjoy?
No, I reckon my favourite part was always going to the
It's all right. Just a coffee machine going off.
probably always going to the servo after.
Oh, the
snacks.
the
and then
servo.
blasting Michael Payner or King Country.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, in the car.
They
Yeah.
they were fun.
Just
they were-
feel like guts.
But you know what? We still try to do family night as much as we can as well now. It's not like just because they're grown up, it's over. No, we still try and do it as
Just
much
with a
as
few
we can.
added boyfriends.
Yeah.
Shout out to Max and Zach.
Although many times you guys used to actually bring other friends along, which they always enjoyed it, and cousins, and so there was always. But I think that's the other important thing is that's something that we started when they were very, very young, and we continued on. But then as time changed, youth group started. So then youth group every second Friday. So you got to be flexible, and
Yep.
so now so it might not be the Friday night, now we do Saturday nights, or Sunday afternoons, or however, and that's something that's very, very important to us. Let me have a look. What about daddy dates?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so daddy dates were pretty much there'd be a day that Dad would kind of just take us kids one by one, by ourselves, just one-on-one time, and we got to choose where to go. And yeah, they were always so much fun because Dad is fun, and he's fun because he spends our money on us. And yeah, Mum's not very. She's always like, no, you don't need that. But Dad's like, do you want it? Okay, I'll get it. So yeah, but no, it was always
on
fun.
the budget.
Yeah, it's really good to just have like one-on-one with Dad because. Yeah, I don't know. It's just so much fun. But we have always different stories. We all like to go to different places. Me and Dad actually had a little daddy-daughter date just before lockdown. We went to Front Beach Cafe.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
yeah, it's just really fun. Get to talk about church and stuff and our lives. But, no, it's a lot
And it
of
was
fun.
so great because, yeah, as Amy said, each kid got to decide what we do on that day, where we go. And for Chanel, it was usually to the shops to spend money.
I'm
Wasn't-
very smart.
She goes,
Oh, Dad,
awesome.
I love this. I wish I had money for it. Then he buys it.
Yeah. And the boys, it was either go to kick the footy or go to the arcade. That's right, go to the arcade to play games. So that was fun times.
Yeah.
Fun
So good.
times.
But then, and these are some of the fun things that we've been able to do. And, obviously they've built, your relationship with the kids, which
Yeah.
has been very important. But then there has been some sacrifices. And maybe, Caden, one of the things that we did decide in our family where there was no sports on Sunday, and I think that's something that, Caden, this was a very painful lesson for you to a certain,
Yeah, so like footy's always been a passion of mine. Loved it.
Yeah.
And I did Auskick for as long as I could like, prep to like year 4. And then competitions on Sunday, so mum and dad's like, nah, no footy. Church comes first. I was shattered, didn't like it's all I wanted to do was play footy, but I couldn't. So then I didn't play footy for what, like 4 years? So I took up tennis instead.
Yeah.
So I took up tennis instead.
So we try to do the thing of diversion, like, okay, tennis.
Play tennis with your cousins.
Play tennis with your cousins. Let's
Saturday
try.
morning.
Whereas
Do
footy
something
was
else.
always number one, like always.
Yeah.
So then I had to wait like another, I don't know. I think it was year 7 when I first started. And then we found a league just outside Ballarat. It was like 45-minute drive, 1 hour drive. 3 days a week, Tuesday, Thursdays and Saturdays for footy.
Mm.
But then
But the competition was on Saturday, so that
competition
was...
was on Saturday, so that was
Yeah.
the thing. And then Dad loved coming to watch and
I loved
taking me.
Yep, loved it.
Still, so it's
Yep. And that's one thing we're grateful for. God has even provided with that.
yeah.
Now that we've moved to Torquay, he now plays for a team in Barwon Heads,
And that was like
which is a Saturday competition.
And
So-
last year when we moved to Torquay, I wanted to play footy, but that was on Sundays.
Yeah.
But then this year they changed to Saturdays, so
Yep.
And that's something that Chanel, obviously with your dancing a little bit that you had to. Was it difficult to understand or not? Were you resentful towards
when I
us?
was younger, yeah, I was. Because obviously dancing was my footy. So I was obsessed with dancing. I wanted to do it all the time. I used to say, I'm going to dance till I'm 80 years old. I don't care what you say. So then, there was a fair few times where, I got invited to be in a competition team, but the competition team was only on Sundays and all my dance competitions were on Sundays. So mum and dad were a bit lenient. They let me go to some dance competitions on Sundays, but at the time I was like, they don't care about me, they only care about church. Like I was very resentful. But then as I got older, I obviously understood and I prioritized church as well. So I don't dance anymore, so there's no need to worry. But yeah, so we both get
Yeah,
it.
you understand.
And
that, yeah.
BJ.
And
Beach as
BJ
well.
with cricket.
And the
Yeah.
footy as well for you too, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but you know what? We and that's what we said to Kate, and we knew that he was shattered, but we said, the Lord will provide, and he always has. And so even with Joel, I know that it's, one of his desires to play, and he can't
Yeah.
at the moment, but, God's going to come through.
And that's the thing. We wanted to make sure that through the example that we're setting to our children, for them, as much as they could grasp it at that point, we tried to make it as clear as possible that put God first and watch him come through with the rest. And the word speaks to that. Seek first his kingdom and seek first him. Yeah. And all these other things that are in your heart will be added to you. And that's a principle that doesn't change.
Yeah.
And, we really made that a major part of our family. And God has come through time and time and time again. He's proven himself faithful in that scripture, hasn't he? So...
Even if it's not straight away.
Exactly.
Even if it's a few
exactly
years,
right.
but-
It might not make sense immediately, but
Yeah.
apply the truth of Scripture and what He says over our lives, and it works
Absolutely.
every time.
Never lets us down.
Every time, never lets us down. No.
So now we're going to brag about Dad a little bit.
Well,
So, I mean, we have, but, we'll just continue on, which is if there is one thing that you saw in Dad that you said, well, when I grow up, this is a legacy I want to continue on, or this is something that I want to follow in his footsteps in, what would it be?
I think the biggest thing that I always got from Dad, and I still to this day don't know how he did it. Well, I do. It was God, obviously. But for some reason, like, no matter, he always provided financially for us, even when I was just like, where the heck did we get that money from? Like, I had no idea how there was, obviously some weeks were tougher than others, and Mum would say, nope, you can't get that. We don't have money this week. But then there were other
Exactly
weeks.
like that too, yeah?
Pardon?
Exactly like that.
Yeah, exactly like that. But then there were some weeks where, God blessed us financially, and Dad would spoil us even extra on those weeks. So I think that was something that I want to do for my children. And, Zach, even when he came into our family, he even saw that with my dad straight away as well. He goes, geez, I don't know how your dad does it, but he financially supports your family really, really well. That's what I want to do for my family. So I think probably that, and that's probably And we always had, friends from our school saying, your parents are church pastors. Why he's rich? I'm like, we're not rich. My dad is we're just blessed.
Yeah,
Not
I
rich.
remember at school in Melton, kids used to walk past. Oh, you're the rich kid. Like, have you seen our car? It has a kangaroo dint in front of it. One of the doors don't even open. We're not rich.
That was
But
a
that
Toronto.
but that does show that kids look at us, and that's God's blessing on our lives,
God's
and they
blessing.
see God's blessing, and they say, wow, we're rich, and we are rich. We're rich in God's blessings, not rich in the world's money.
Good
So I
to
think
know.
that's one thing that I definitely want to do for my children.
So, Chanel, will you ever have to worry?
No,
Not because of him, because of who?
because of God. And
Amen.
there's been a few times where I have caught myself like, how am I going to pay for uni? That's so much money. And then it always works itself out.
Amen.
Always.
God comes
And we
Amen.
learn to not, be
Rest.
worried through
So
dad and
faithful.
mum.
So
Yeah.
faithful, God.
I would love to have Dad's generosity and like blessing others. I mean, probably got a bit of mum in me. He doesn't need it. But then Dad's like, take it, just go for it. So Dad's so most generous bloke. So I think I need a bit more dad of that, less mum of that.
Mum the tidy, obviously.
Yeah.
Got to keep the balance somehow.
You need the balance. Can you imagine if you were also...
Yeah, we would be in
Overly-
debt by 300,000 and have everything on credit if it wasn't for me. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Amy.
I think there's two things that really stand out to me. One of them is the protection that we feel around Dad. Like, Dad's always just like the one that we go for to when we need to feel protected. And the first one that we always go for, like even when Caden passed out in the shower the other week, we didn't know what to do. So the first person, we're like, Dad, wake up. So, but yeah, I don't know, just Dad being there just kind of, everything just turns like, it's just peaceful as soon as Dad comes, because you're like, okay, Dad's here. It's all good. I can feel good now. Are you going to start crying?
I'm not far from it.
that was like when Amy and Joel, when they heard Dad snoring, they're like, okay, we're safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they would rather Dad snore than peace and quiet.
He
And
was
me and Chanel were like,
such
I
a
can't stand it.
he was such a loud snorer. But me and Joel, growing up as kids, would be like, as soon as we heard Dad snoring, it sounded like an elephant in the room. But it doesn't matter because like it's okay, Dad's there, so it's
Papa's
good.
home,
But also,
Papa's
speaking
home.
of crying, I love Dad's sensitivity,
Yeah.
even if it means crying on commercials. But
Because real men cry.
exactly, he's
Embrace your
definitely
emotions.
I love how much he shows his emotions, but also he's so sensitive in heart towards his family and also those around him, and he just really has a soft spot for everybody. And yeah.
How about you, Joel?
I always like how he always cares and checks up on me. Like he's working in his room, but then he comes all the way to my room and talks to me, and he's like, "Do you love your room? Do you love your phone? Do you love your watch?"
Every time I love you.
So he always checks up on me.
Does he tell you that he loves you?
Yeah.
Do you know I
Always.
love you? Does he say that?
All the time.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. So,
Far out.
so are you okay? Dry your eye, hun.
No, I'm all right.
You're all right? Okay. So, hun, for you, the hardest thing about parenting, one of the hardest thing about being a dad. Yeah, we prayed a lot for that.
I need to bring in scripture just to make this whole thing legal. In Proverbs 22, verse 6, and that this will be leading to my answer, it says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. I love that verse, but what that verse really challenges me with is to take the time to decide which way each of them should go. Not the way I want them to go, not the way I want to force them to go, but which is the way that God has put in them. So I guess the responsibility of my role in my family is to make sure that I take the time to discover and discern what the gold in each one of my children, and they're very different. Each and every one of them are very different. And having the wisdom to do that is something I pray about all the time, to cheer them on in their own way. It'd be great if all four were exactly the same. Apply a certain formula, a certain method, and it's going to work every time. But each of them are so different, and that can be very challenging at times because what worked for one doesn't necessarily work for the other. So, Lord, help me to train them in the way they should go, and then give them whatever that we can on our part to make that happen. So, and that is also a privilege. It's beautiful to see the gold in each of them, you know. So,
What about parenting the church?
same type of thing. It really is, because our desire for our church family is also to see them embrace their true identity of who they are as sons and daughters, the unique calling on their on the life, on each of your lives, and for us to really do what we can to cheer that on. I guess the challenge in that, and I remember hearing a pastor say many years ago, one of the hardest things in pastoring is that you often want more for your people that you lead than they want for themselves.
And our kids too.
Yeah, absolutely. We often want more for people that we do life with than they want for themselves. And sometimes that's very hard to watch. It's very hard to stand by and watch someone make certain decisions which you know are not going to be a good outcome. But many times you just have to let them learn through the process and be there to pick up the pieces. You know, so that's not always a pleasant thing. But when you love, you do it. Love compels you to do it.
Leaving a legacy.
Uh-huh.
What does that mean for you? What sort of a legacy do you want to leave behind for the
legacy.
church and for our kids?
Yep. Legacy is a very important word for me. I also attach to that word the word inheritance. What does my life, what am I building up in my life that I can then pass on to each of my children so that my ceiling becomes their floor and off they go? Do more than I could ever dream of doing. So a legacy to me is to make sure that I'm living a life that is adding fuel to watch them soar, to watch them absolutely fly. And that's in the way I speak to them, in the way I treat them, in the way I love them, also the way I provide for them too, you know. And when I'm dead and gone, I want to believe that their lives will go further and be bigger than I could ever have imagined. Simply because they've chosen to follow the God that we worship, and that the God that they've seen in our lives, they'll embrace and have a personal encounter and love for Him. And that, to me, is the ultimate treasure. You know, they can be super successful in a career, have amazing friends and family. They are all fantastic things. But to see my children love Jesus, not because of us or because they're doing it out of obligation to us, that to me is the ultimate reward. It really is. It might sound like a typical pastor response, but I tell you, that to me, when it's all said and done, that each of you four are walking with Jesus with your whole heart. Oh, man, doesn't get better than that.
And one of the other things, I guess, that not that Amy gets to see this because she's sleeping at the moment, no, but one of the
Wake
other
up.
thing, not right now, but while in lockdown is, and what they haven't seen is obviously the hours and hours, and this is what the church doesn't see, is the hours and hours that you do spend up in prayer at the front room, in your office, you know, waking up early, going for walks, praying over the town, praying over Melton, praying over Torquay, praying for individuals,
That actually reminds me of something. I remember always, like, when we were younger, sometimes it'd be, 9:30, 10:30 at night, and you hear the keys, and then you hear the door shut, and I know straight away Dad's going to drive around Melton and pray for Melton. Like, he used to do it all the time and still does it in Torquay. Like, you hear the keys and then you hear the door and you know he's just going to drive. And all he does is drive around Melton, drive around Torquay and just pray for the church and pray for everyone. So he does that a lot, which I don't think, not many people know. But, yeah.
Yeah, and same, early mornings, yeah. You're spending time in the Word, yeah. We've all busted him and you've all seen him, yeah. So some people are blessed. I mean, we're blessed with you, and you're awesome, and we love you, and I think you're an amazing dad, and yeah. But what about, there is a whole generation out there, of kids who have grown up who don't have a dad. Yeah, there's a whole most of Chanel's friends, most of your friends have always been single parent families, and so is there hope? What do you have to say to them? Because they watch us and go, well, that's fine for them because, they've got a dad and so, good on those kids. But then there's, and in our church, there's a lot of people who don't know their dad, or they're estranged from their dad, or they don't have a close relationship. So is it too late to cultivate that? Or, yeah, if you don't have a dad, what do you have to say to them?
As our church family knows, one of the biggest revelations that have shaped the culture of who we are is the revelation of the Father's heart, Father God's heart. And my kids tease me when I call God Abba. Oh, that's not the Swedish rock band that sings Dancing Queen. They always stir me about that, don't you? But the revelation of the Father's heart has gripped us in such a way, and I guess the biggest privilege that we get to be a part of is not only, and I'll speak on behalf of you and ICAS, not only do we get to be parents to these 4 amazing kids, but we get to be spiritual parents to an amazing church family. And to be able to come alongside someone that doesn't have an earthly dad and really doesn't know what our Heavenly Father's like, and to be able to reveal Him to them through a hug, through words that we speak. So, in answer to that question, those that have grown up without a father figure, what a beautiful opportunity for them to get to meet the ultimate Father, who is not like our earthly dads. As amazing as our earthly dads can be, He is so far greater. And Kaz and I minister all the time to people that come with father wounds. That's a major, major part of people's journey, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Hurt, even abused and all that type of thing. And to see the healing of our Heavenly Father reach the deepest recesses of their heart and heal the deepest wounds is the biggest honour. So I always have hope for people that don't have an earthly dad or have had a bad example of an earthly dad. I always have hope because when they encounter the true God as a father, man, that sets them free in ways they could never have imagined. So there is always hope. Yeah,
and so you can book in for your Sozo session.
That's it. Book in for Sozo.
Yeah. Last question.
All right.
What about strained relationships? There's a lot of people who do have, their dads, and this could be for dads who have, kids that they are not in relationship with at the moment, who have strained relationships, or vice versa, that have older parents that have had strained relationships. And even some of the stuff that we have shared about family night and dates, and people go, well, that's great, that you could do that.
Yeah.
But my kids are old. Yeah. So what advice do we have to give them, and where is it too late for them, and is there a starting point?
That's a great question, because there are some older dads watching this perhaps that have adult children with their own families. And I'll go straight out and say it's never too late. It's never too late to pull out the gold that is within your children. And dads, it is your responsibility to dig through the things that it could be a lot of mess in the way. There could be a lot of mud in the way. But it's your responsibility to dig until you find the gold, because I guarantee you it is there. And then, men, when you find it, call it out, speak it out, point it out, and cheer them on in that area. And no one is ever too old to do that. Our words can either build up or our words can absolutely kill. So let's use the words wisely. Let's treat them with honour. Treat them with love, but it's never, ever too late to pull out the gold in your children.
And sometimes even for grown men, I think, this comes a lot in our Sozo sessions where, there are men who are in their 40s and 50s and they're still waiting to hear, I'm sorry from their dad.
Yeah,
you know, oftentimes, or I'm proud
yeah,
of you, but
whatever it
often,
is.
or even I'm sorry. Whereas oftentimes, you know, we believe, well, you know, my kid has rejected me, and you know, so I'm the victim in this.
Mm.
Yeah, you know, my kid went off the rails. My kid, you know, didn't respect me. I'm the dad, where they have that kind of an attitude. But really, sometimes by just saying, okay, I did the best that I could, and I know
Yeah.
it wasn't good enough, you know, in your eyes, because there's always two sides to every story. Yeah, and to say, you know, and I think of the prodigal son, where you know, when the prodigal came home, the father ran, and there's the father. He's making the first move. He's running, and so. I think regardless of what age, that
Yeah.
is something that's part of a father's responsibility, I
Look,
guess.
so-
Because
someone's gotta
some
make the first
kids,
step.
yeah, because sometimes the kids won't come. I mean, it'd be awesome that the kids will come and go, oh, you know, but no, sometimes it's
Yeah.
really the other way around, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me just bring this to a close as I read Ephesians chapter 6, verse 4. It says, Fathers, do not provoke your children to wrath, but bring them up in the training and the admonition of the Lord. And that really links to what I mentioned earlier in Proverbs, where dads, you have the responsibility. It is on us. We can't avoid it. It is on us to build them up in the ways of God. And yes, overlook the offense. Overlook what's been done to you. And you think, hang on, but I've been treated unfairly. Yeah, but so was Jesus. And look what he did. See, we have access to the same love that Jesus had, that even when he was on the cross, he looked down at those that hurt him, those that mocked him, those that spat on him and abused him, and he looked upon them with eyes of love and he says, Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. We have to be the bigger one on the inside. Yeah? I had to put in some kind of preaching into this, so there we go. I've done my bit.
Well, that's what I think we're just going to end it there for today. So,
I love you guys.
we love
Been
you
great,
too.
thank you.
So, Chanel, the best thing about Dad. Did we
We've
say
done
that?
that. Next
Did we do
question.
it? You love
Best thing about Dad: generosity and support.
Okay, Caden, something else.
Looks.
Absolutely, that hunk of a spunk.
Wisdom.
Wisdom,
Caring.
caring. All right, so let's say Happy Father's Day.
Thank you.
We
Happy
love
Father's
you, hun.
Day.
Thank you. Present time. Present time.
He's been begging for his presents all week.
Come
Yes,
on.
he's like a kid. So, guys, thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
And, we just pray that you have an amazing afternoon with your dads, that you just have a wonderful time. I'm blessing on them, loving them,
good. Come on.
giving them lots of hugs, giving them lots of attention, giving them a remote, let them have whatever they want for dinner. We're not KFC or whatever it is, yeah, and just, spend some time together, and may God bless you guys and have an amazing week.
Yeah.
See yous.
Amen.
Love
See ya.
yous.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Me be filled with kindness and compassion for the one for whom you loved and gave yourself for humanity. Increase my love. Help me to love with open arms like you do. A love that erases all the lines and sees the truth. Oh, that when they look in my eyes, they will see you. Even in just a smile, they would feel the Father's love. Oh, how you loved us, from the homeless to the famous and in between. You formed us, you made us carefully, 'cause in the end, we're all your children. Oh Lord, help me to love with open arms like you do, yeah. A love that erases all the lines and sees the truth. Oh, that when they look in my eyes, they would see you. Even in just a smile, they would feel the Father's love.
feel the Father's love. And even in just a smile, they would feel the Father's love.